it says in the Torah, Eile Moadei Hanania ben Achi Rabbi Yeshua. These are the holidays of Hanania, the nephew of Rabbi Yeshua. Okay, they're reading from the Torah. They say, these are the holidays, right? This is, you do this, and you have Pesach, and these are the holidays of Hanania. The people get up and start screaming, no! Amrin le Moadei Hashem! These are the holidays of God, it says. Don't you know how to read? It says the holidays of God in the Torah. Eile Moadei Hashem, these are the holidays you should keep. Amarlun Gaban, by us, they're the holidays of God. But by you, they're the holidays of Hanania. Like I said before, it's Hananiism. That's not Judaism anymore. That's not the conduit of God's name in the world. If you separate yourself from Eretz Yisrael, you cut off that link and forget and have a new Jerusalem, a new home, a new thing, and forget what Eretz Yisrael is, that's no longer the holidays of God. That's the holidays of Hanania. That's a new religion. It looks similar. Okay, looks similar. But these are the holidays of Hanania. What it says in the Torah, Moadei Hashem, the holidays of God, that's by us in Eretz Yisrael. The other rabbi gets up, Kam Rabbi Natan, Vashlim, and he now finishes. He reads from the Torah also. And he says, from Muncie will go out Torah and the word of God from Golders Green. That's what it says here, right? Ki mi Bavel tetzeh Torah udvar Hashem min nahar pakud. Right? He gets up and reads the Torah. The word of God will come out of Bavel, from the Muncie, from New Square Town, whatever here. They all yell and say, what are you talking about? It says, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah udvar Hashem Yerushalayim. You're reading it wrong. It doesn't say Muncie. The Torah says, right in Yeshayahu chapter 2, from Zion will go out Torah, the word of God from Yerushalayim. He says to them, Gaban, that's by us. But you seem to have forgotten that. Again, the shock treatment to, again, if I had said it, you can imagine a guy comes to Muncie and starts giving a lecture and says, indeed, the word of God goes out from Muncie, and this is they would excommunicate him. But they realized, they woke up, and this was the whole point of this very strong accusation, this very strong critique, and to get up and tell them, you have a new Torah, it's no longer Judaism. Because again, Judaism isn't some subjective, man-made, man in search of God. It comes to a very specific people and time and place, and that is the vehicle. Switching that, or what happened here, apparently these people forgot where the center is. And they said it in no uncertain terms to remind them. He gets up and reads, Ki mi Bavel tetzah, the word of God, the Torah will go out from Bavel. Or like I said, you can switch it with any name of different communities that, unfortunately, God forbid, I want to compare, but maybe sometimes forgot or forget and think the Torah is coming from there. We have a new Jerusalem. Again, pretty explicit here. There's nothing Orthodox Judaism that isn't here. What are we missing here? We have the new Jerusalem, and rabbis mention that. The Or Sameach, right, Meir Simcha from Dvinsk, in his book on the Torah, the Or Sameach is the name of his commentary to the Rambam. That's what he's known for. Like he's known as the Or Sameach, like the Chafetz Chaim is named after his, known as the name of his book. But the Or Sameach also has an unbelievable commentary on the Torah called the Meshech Chochmah, and there he writes in Parshat Bechukotai that the Jews go to exile, tragedy. What are we doing here? How can we sing the song of God in Babylon, right, in the rivers of Babylon? But then the next generation, they get used to it. They build up Torah centers, studying, keeping the mitzvot, having mikvahs and kosher food and kosher pizza, kosher delis. And then they say, what are we missing here? The next generation says, you're not allowed to come back. You have to wait for the Mashiach. You don't even... And then he says that when you think that Berlin is Jerusalem, that's the example he gave. He passed away in 1930s, early 30s. But when you think that Berlin is the new Jerusalem, we have a new Jerusalem, then will come a hurricane, these winds that will remind you and uproot you and remind that this isn't your home. Like it says in Yechezkel chapter 20, verse 33, 34, the commentaries explain. He says, with fury poured out and an outstretched arm, I will take you out of the exile. And the commentary, what do you mean? Some hand will come out of heaven? The commentaries explain that, Mitzudot Davin, that God will put the hate in the hearts of the nations and they will remind you that this isn't your home. If you forget, like you're leaving no other option, so to speak. God has many options and ways. Hopefully we'll remind you here there's a different way. They tried to wake them up in the communities outside. Maybe we have to go to Muncie or different places and give this message. Now you can do it through the internet, but to communicate and recognize the beauty, the significance, the centrality, but blessing comes to them and to the world by our presence here. But he says that when you forget, then as if the sick person doesn't even realize he's sick, doesn't go to the doctor anymore because he thinks he's fine. And then it's a tragic situation. Then it needs a more stronger awakening. And then it says there, the commentary, in the Cheskel 20 there, that the hate in the hearts of the nations, and they will remind you. So the Or Sameach, the Meshech Chochmah, the Parshat Bechukotai, that when you think that Berlin is the New Jerusalem, you'll get the wake-up call from elsewhere. Maybe we'll have time to see the Yaakov Emden also, that all of the suffering and all the persecution, he said in Spain and all the other places, being found in New Jerusalem. We're sitting here, the golden age in Spain, the Jewish community growing and blossoming. Well, we have everything. What do we need outside of Spain here? And he says, when you think you have a New Jerusalem, then he says all the tragedies stem from that, which is connected to this week's parasha that I mentioned, that recaps the sin of the spies, that Ma'asu Be'eretz Chemda, that despise the cherished land. They have a new home. Like the spies that didn't, why go to Eretz Yisrael? We have it great here. The man from heaven, learning Torah face to face with the divine, the presence and the miracles and the connection to God. In Eretz Yisrael, you'll have to work the land. And he says, there we have bread from heaven. In Eretz Yisrael, you have to bring bread from the earth. It's more difficult than it may be because of the more physical activities, and you might forget the divine source. You might think that your hand is doing it, your activities, and indeed we fell. It wasn't so perfect right away when we came to Eretz Yisrael. And nevertheless, that caused the 40 years running around in the desert, and those people, that generation, would not enter the land. When did that take place? When did they come back with that message? The spies that came back and said, no, we don't have to go, and the Jews cried, and we don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. That was on Tisha B'Av, the Gemara in Tanit 29. That was Tisha B'Av. They were sent the 29th of Sivan, 40 days later, Tisha, the 9th of Av, and God says in the Gemara there, in Tanit, that you cried, he says, B'chiyat, how do you say, B'chiyat Chinam, you cried for nothing. Here I'm giving you the biggest gift of creation, to link up mankind, reality, to this, call it infinite source of life, of divinity, of goodness, of holiness that permeates the world. That I'm giving this gift and you cry, I'll give you a reason to cry. This will cross a B'chiyat Dorot, he says. This will be a date of crying for generations. The first temple destroyed, the second temple destroyed, the Beit Tar was ruined, it's destroyed, killed, all those thousands. World War I began on, I think, other tragedies. World War I think, began on Tisha B'Av. This is a day of tragedy, all because of what? Because of the refusal of the Jews to come to Eretz Yisrael.